Hey everyone, thanks for stopping in the garage today. And today in the garage, we're going to be talking about sharpening blades. Hand sharpening, right? You don't need to have expensive sharpeners, and you can just use some simple things like files. Or I'm also going to go over a little bit about grinding. And we're going to talk a little bit about balancing as well. So we'll get to that in a little minute. But just to preface everything by saying, look, I remember at the beginning of C19 with lockdowns and all that, then as now, I could not get my hands on certain things. Now, yes, you could go buy a new blade. There's still a lot of blades out there. Blade inventory's not too bad. But marshaling forward, into the future, 2022 and beyond, right? I hate to echo this point, but things are going up in price, and then there's scarcity. I mean, there's some things you just can't get. Filters, just a number of things, guys, that you can't get. Or they're really expensive, and I don't think our salaries are going to go up with the cost, with the increase of inflation and everything. So that brings me to saving money. Selecting tools as part of a tool scenario. What do you buy? Maybe you don't want to buy new. Maybe you want to buy used. And in the case of a lot of my hobby and my business, right, I like to buy a lot of used stuff. And that means that I have to put a little bit of work into it. So let's find a way to reduce the cost and also make our lives a little easier, reduce the effort. If you can reduce the cost, and or if it just becomes scarce, maybe the blade you can go out and get, you can get it, but they got it on the shelf and they want $30 for it, right? That's insane.
Blade toss.
Because it's a brick and mortar store, or maybe you can order it from Amazon, but it takes, I just ordered some oil, right? Just the cheapest oil that they have, and like the delivery date is at the end of the month. Now, there are other oils out there that I can get, but they're a lot more money. Cursory inspection is first. They were really dirty. I got kind of a look at them. I took them off. They seem like they might be okay. So now that we've got them clean, let's go take them over to the nail on the wall, and let's just find out. They have to pass that test first. If they hang kind of straight, and that maybe they're just a little bit off and they hang kind of straight, and now that they're clean, I can physically look at them. They look like they're okay, then we can go to the next step, which is sharpening. So let's get started on that. All right, let's take a look at the first blade. So we have 4 blades. Now this blade is a star pattern blade, and there's always going to be one slot that is dead center. So on this type of blade, it's awesome because you can hang it right there. I got a nail in the wall out of the way, which is good because this way I'm not going to walk into that nail and puncture my brain. That one's just a little heavy on that side, but other than that, it looks pretty good. And of course, I'll bring it outside and give it a better look. A little bit, but a cursory inspection, I have 2 of those. Yeah, that's another one. That one looks pretty good. It's just rusty. And I'll show you what we're going to do about that in a minute. Now this one's a universal blade, and I have the bushing out of it. The bushing is somewhere around here. I think it's on the bolt on the engine. And it also looks pretty darn good. And the last one is got a center hole, and this is a mulching blade, and those are nice to have. And that one's a little heavy on that side. Let's see, we just kind of move it around a little bit, just a little bit, but it's not bad. So to start off with, I might look a little bent, but it's not. It's got a cutting surface here and a cutting surface there. Let's bring them outside. There's not a lot of light over here because it gets out of the way in the shop, but that's exactly what I want. But what I'll do is I'll just clamp, just a simple clamp, and I'll clamp it to the table in different spots. And I think this one has a little bit more of an overhang. Or I'll come to the edge and I'll clamp it on the edge where I have a little bit more meat. And I like to use the angle grinder. Now anything like a 40 grit and up, this is a 4 or 4.5 inch angle grinder with a flapper disc on it. And it's an abrasive flapper disc. You can get these just about anywhere. This one's a little bit beat, it's a little bit worn, but I'm sure it'll get me through these blades. And the advantage of using this tool is, as opposed to a bench grinder, which I have as well, is the bench grinders. You kind of have to, you're sort of married to this one position, and so if the wheel that you want to use is on this side, you have a problem. You have to actually have one with a wheel on the other side. This way you can get to it really good. If you have two different wheels, it's really hard because the blade is always on sort of the left. So you really need the wheel over here. I also have, on the vise, I have a nice belt sander set up. You could use that too. That's another way of doing it. And I'm not against doing that, but with this one tool, number one, I can come out here. Although I have a bench grinder I do set up out here from time to time, I can come out here and I can lock the blade in the vise, and which we'll do in a minute, and we can sharpen it. And the other thing I can do is, because it's the flapper, right, instead of the hardened stone, I can clean the blade. And sometimes I even lock on a wire wheel onto this, or I just grab my other wire wheel and I just come out here and I start cleaning, and then with the one tool, and I can then sharpen. So let's clean these up first. I see a few drops of rain, so let's get a move on. And this deburrs it at the same time. And then I can just flip it around to the other side, get the other side. Now we always want to make sure the mating surfaces or the mounting surfaces are clean, because anything that's in between that is going to cause the blade to not sit right. And the purpose of balancing and cleaning and deburring and sharpening is so that you get a nice cut, a smooth cut. If it's out of balance, it will wobble, and of course you're going to feel it in the machine. And I've had a few blades that I couldn't even balance because for some reason or another they were just so far out, and that machine is going to shake, and it's annoying to use, it's fatiguing, and you're just going to have a lot of problems. So we don't want that. And you know, you want a good cut, which is another benefit of a nice sharp balanced blade. You also want to make sure that this blade in particular is in very good shape. We'll get a closer look at it in a little bit. It has a very square angle here, right angle. That's important for a good cut because most of the cut is in this first inch. So let me clean this side up. We'll be back in a bit, and we're going to go over sharpening procedures. I'm going to clean all of these. If there's any pits or anything on the top, we want to get rid of those first. So we're going to dress the top. All right, that's good. Now we're going to follow the angle, and don't lay into any one spot because you'll overheat it. So I've made it good and sharp, right? It is really, really sharp. And we don't want to leave it like that because it's a hardened steel blade and it will chip. So this is something that a lot of people miss, is we just want to dress that down. A couple of light passes. Okay, just like that. And that's all I need to do, just to blunt the edge so that we reduce the chipping. I chucked it up in the vise pretty close, right, so that I don't get a lot of that wobbly effect. And we'll just dress across the top here. Check for any burrs. All right, so it's deburred. Let me do the other side. All right, we're good. This one's a little rounded on the end, but it's not too bad. Just a quick coat. It's really more like a gimmick. You know, my customers like this. I don't try to pass them off as new blades. I use, you know, by the way, I use a good Rust-Oleum The cheap paints are garbage. You just wind up using twice as much and you don't save anything. And how many things do I want to stock? So get out there, guys, and sharpen up your blades and save yourself a few bucks. Maybe you can, go over your blade with a few simple tools. Invest in yourself. Grab a couple of tools to do this. It's real easy to do, and I don't see why anybody could really do this. I have a vise outside. I have a few things. Yes, you may not have that, but you can still clamp it to a table or clamp it to something with a vise grip or some other kind of clamp, or hold it really good and sharpen it. You can do it on the edge of a table or a picnic table or something, but you can do it yourself. You can't really do it on the machine, so you're going to need to take the blade off and get it good and clean the the mating surfaces and all that, like I said. But you can do it, and I will see you guys on the next one. Save a few bucks, guys, and put that money back into your pocket. I'll see you later.